happened to you?
Hi, Jackie. Hey, you look really nice today.
John's a friend, so I know that's supposed to be a compliment. But there's still a little part of me that wonders just what he thinks I usually look like.
Well, I guess we've all been in situations where we intended to send one message and found out people were really hearing something totally different. Situations like this.
Hi, mind if I sit here?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I hope she doesn't want to talk. I'm super tired and I really just want to relax and read my newspaper.
He doesn't look real happy. I hate traveling alone, too. Maybe I can cheer him up. He looks like he's had a real hard day. He'd probably like to talk about something other than business.
I'm sure glad this train is air-conditioned. It's really hot out there, huh?
Oh, yeah, it sure is.
I don't want to be rude because she's obviously trying to be nice, but I really just want to be left alone.
Oh, he must be a little shy. Maybe if I ask him about the news.
That looks like an interesting article. Have you been following the events over in Europe?
You can imagine what the rest of the trip was like. And all because she assumed that my needs were the same as hers.
Sometimes we can create a problem by what we say, and sometimes by what we do. Touching is just one example. Some people hug everyone they meet, but many people don't like being touched, especially by people they don't know well.
Why is there a difference in the way we perceive things? Because each of us is different. We come from different cultures or ethnic backgrounds. We've had different life experiences. And we differ in age, sex, politics, religion, and lots of other things.
We tend to listen through our own unique set of values. Therefore, what offends one person may not affect another in the same way. Sometimes these miscommunications happen in learning situations.
In working with adults, it's important to remember that certain words or behaviors sometimes confuse a student or detract from the learning.
For instance, we've all been in situations where particular words or phrases used by someone else made us feel uncomfortable. It's like a red flag going up. It causes us to be distracted or maybe even offended, and it certainly doesn't contribute to effective communications.
In the following example, you'll see Nancy as she meets a student for the first time. As you watch, put yourself in Derek's position. Where would you feel uncomfortable? Where are the red flags for you?
Oh, come in. I'm Nancy, and you must be Derek.
Yes.
Please have a seat. Oh, why don't you come right over here and sit right next to me?
Sure.
Did you have a problem finding this place?
No, not really.
I see. Well, I was starting to think that maybe something had happened and you might not make it today.
Well, I take the bus and sometimes it's late.
I see. Well, let's just get started. I need to find out a few things about you. First, I'll need to give you this test to find out exactly what level you're at, to see what your reading is like.
Well, I'm not too good at reading. I dropped out of school. It was just too hard and I wasn't learning anything. So I went to work instead.
Oh, that must have been quite a while ago. Do you still have a job?
Oh yeah. I started an office maintenance company a couple of years ago. It's small, but...
Uh-huh, and, oh, excuse me, I was looking for a piece of paper. Anyway, what were you saying?
Nothing important.
I see. Well, let's get back to business. Now, this is a good time and place for me to meet. How about you?
Yeah, sure. How long do you think it will take me to, you know, learn?
Well, learning to read can take a long time. The local program asked me to make a 12-month commitment, so I hope you will be able to make that kind of a commitment, too. You want to get off to a good start, don't you?
I guess so.
Well, in any case, you probably don't do much reading and writing in your job now, right?
Well, there are a lot of procedures, manuals, and forms, but I have a friend at work who helps me with some of the written stuff, and I can follow the diagrams.
I see. Well, here's what I'd like you to do for me. If you can take a look at these things in here, and
How many potential red flag points did you observe in this interaction?
Saw several places where Derek might have felt uncomfortable. Let's take another look at the interaction, stopping at these points to allow Derek and Nancy to share their feelings.
oh, come in. I'm Nancy, and you must be Derek.
I was really nervous about this meeting. I've never been to a library. And then I wasn't sure that was even Nancy. She didn't get up or make much effort to make me feel comfortable.
I was a little nervous at the beginning, especially when I realized that I'd forgotten to ask him to describe himself or set a specific place where we would meet. And I was trying to go over one more time all the things we need to do in the first lesson.
Yes.
Please have a seat. Oh, why don't you come right over here and sit right next to me?
Sure.
Did you have a problem finding this place?
No, not really.
I see. Well, I was starting to think that maybe something had happened and you might not make it today.
Just because I was a couple minutes late? Boy, I've gotten her mad before we can even get to the reading.
I know that students sometimes get scared at the last minute and don't show up for the first meeting. I was beginning to wonder if that would be the case here. But I also know how important it is to use every minute effectively, to start and end on time.
Well, I take the bus and sometimes it's late.
I see. Well, let's just get started. I need to find out a few things about you. First, I'll need to give you this test to find out exactly what level you're at, to see what your reading is like.
They told me this program will be different from school. But right away, she wants to give me a test. If I could pass a test, I wouldn't need to be here.
I don't believe in wasting a student's time teaching what he already knows. So it's important to find out right away what he can and cannot do.
Well, I'm not too good at reading. I dropped out of school. It was just too hard and I wasn't learning anything. So I went to work instead.
Oh. That must have been quite a while ago. Do you still have a job?
What'd she mean by that? Like not being able to read and write means I'm not responsible enough to hold a job? Or I'm some kind of dummy?
People have all kinds of stereotype ideas about adults who can't read. It's really important never to make assumptions, so I ask a lot of questions.
Oh yeah. I started an office maintenance company a couple of years ago. It's small, but...
And, oh, excuse me, I was looking for a piece of paper. Anyway, what were you saying?
Nothing important.
I see. Well, let's get back to business. Now, this is a good time and place for me to meet. How about you?
Yeah, sure. She doesn't seem very interested in what I have to say. She was doing other things while I was trying to talk. She interrupted me, and I felt pressured to just agree with whatever she said.
Since Derek was late, I thought maybe he'd like to change our meeting time. It's important that we make these decisions together. But he seems to feel that the time is fine.
How long do you think it will take me to, learn?
Well, learning to read can take a long time. The local program asked me to make a 12-month commitment, so I hope you'll be able to make that kind of a commitment too. You want to get off to a good start, don't you?
I guess so. What does she mean by a long time? And 12 months just to get started? She doesn't really think I'm going to be able to learn either.
Students often have unrealistic expectations about how much progress they can make. It's important to be honest with them so they don't get too discouraged. Learning to read is hard work, and it doesn't happen overnight. Well, in any case, you probably don't do much reading and writing in your job now, right?
Well, there are a lot of procedures, manuals, and forms, but I have a friend at work who helps me with some of the written stuff. and I can follow the diagrams.
I see. Well, here's what I'd like you to do.
Nancy asks a lot of questions, but she never really gives me a chance to answer. She just keeps talking. She doesn't seem interested in anything I have to say, and she keeps staring at me. I don't know about this reading stuff.
Well, he seems pretty nice. He doesn't have much eye contact, but he's probably just shy. Yes, I think this will work out just fine.
Unfortunately, Nancy may never have the chance to find out how it will work. She was so concerned about getting through everything she had planned that she never really took the time to listen to Derek. Sometimes the first lesson is the only chance we get to make the adult comfortable and to help him believe that this time he really might be able to learn. Will Derek come back? Would you?
We're all guilty at one time or another of being insensitive in the things we say or do. Most of the time it's because we just don't take the time to think about the needs of others before we speak. We have to learn to see ourselves through their eyes.
We're going to give Nancy another chance to meet Derek. Let's see if they can get off to a better start.
This time, try to pinpoint the places where she does a good job of encouraging him and making him feel comfortable.
Hi, may I help you?
I'm Nancy Miller, and I'm supposed to meet a student here. Since it's the first time, I thought it'd be easier to tell him that I would just meet him at the front desk.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you. Hello.
Are you Nancy?
Yes, and you must be Derek.
Yes.
Gee, I'm glad to meet you. Is it still raining?
Afraid so.
I hope it stops soon. Listen, I have all our materials set up in the back. You want to come on?
Sure.
Here we are. Have a seat.
Sure.
I'm glad you were able to find this place. I know the first time I came, I had a difficult time finding it. Did you have any trouble?
No, not really.
Oh, good. I thought we were going to miss each other.
Well, I'm a little late. I catch the bus and sometimes it's late.
I understand. Is this going to be a good time for you, or should we try something else?
No, this is fine. I'll just have to catch an earlier bus. Or maybe I can work something out with my wife so I can have the car on the days that I'm here.
Oh, good. Oh, I know what that's like, being a one-car family. And now I have a son who needs to use our car all the time, too. Well, let's try this schedule for now and see how it works, okay?
Okay.
Now, learning to read is obviously important to you, or you wouldn't be here.
Well, I'm willing to give it a try.
Well, tutoring is very important to me also. I've been involved in it several years now, and it's really something I enjoy.
Have you taught a lot of people?
Well, I've worked with 3 people so far.
Have they all learned to read?
Yes, some better than others. I guess it depends what people want to do with their reading that really counts. But sometimes it's hard for both of us. It's just like learning any new thing, but it's certainly worth it.
Well, I quit school because it was too hard. I just wasn't learning anything, and I kept falling behind.
How did you feel about that?
Sometimes I think I could have learned if someone had taken the time to work with me. Instead, I just faked it and asked a lot of questions and things.
Well, asking questions is a good thing. It's certainly a good way of learning.
Yeah, well, I'm also pretty good at figuring out things. There's almost nothing I can't fix.
So you must be good at your work. Learning to read is kind of like figuring out how things fit together. So maybe you can use some of those same skills. Would being able to read and write better help you on your job?
Probably. Sometimes I have trouble with some of the newer equipment because I can't read the manuals. But I have a friend at work who helps me with it.
Oh, that sounds like it could be pretty frustrating for you. I think that's something we can work on together. When you're ready, I'd like you to bring the manuals with you and we can work on reading them. But in the meantime, I've got some things I'd like to do so I can find out the skills you already have. It'll help us to know where to begin.
Okay. I'm not good at tests.
Oh, this isn't a test, so don't be concerned about passing or failing. And you may be surprised to know how much you know already.
Obviously, Nancy and Derek are off to a much better start.
By giving support, showing understanding, and sincere interest, Nancy was able to help Derek not only feel comfortable with her, but also with sharing more about himself. He was more willing to talk when he was not distracted by a series of red flag situations.
Her smile, attentive body language, and willingness to share some information about herself helped Derek begin to relax and feel accepted. She tried to build his confidence by acknowledging the skills he already had and the things he had learned without being able to read and write. No one's perfect. They'll still have their awkward moments, but they've made a good beginning.
Yes, and this time I'm betting Derek will be back. And well, Jackie, I'm going to be more aware from now on of how I communicate, even when I'm giving compliments.
And you know, John, before I decide to strike up a conversation with a fellow traveler, I'll think about his needs rather than assuming they're the same as mine.